Hello again, my dears. Welcome back to my channel. This is Susie from Susie Mac Creations. And as promised, I'm back to do a tutorial with you on how I made these cute little mini envelope tuck spots, pockets, journaling spots with you. This is by no means my idea. I'm sure it's been done many times before. The first time I saw it was on the lovely Margaret's YouTube channel, which is Seven Plaza. She does some amazing tutorials using lots of vintage aspects, lots of Tim Holtz style ephemera, etc., booklets, journals, mini albums, you name it, she does it, and she's very good at it. So I'm taking my lead from this lovely lady, and I'm going to show you my version of how I make these little mini envelopes. So without further ado, I'll close over my journal and I'll put it away. I've been making some already, and these are just made from scraps of paper. And when I say paper, I do mean lightweight paper. Don't try and make them out of heavyweight cardstock, because you'll find it very difficult to get the folds, especially the flat fold. And also they will be too heavy if you're making slimline journals or just small journals. They would be too heavy and too thick for your pages. So we're going to make it with maximum 120 GSM. Not sure what that is in American terms, 60-70 pounds, I'm not sure. But that's the maximum weight you should be using to give you these nice thinner type envelopes. You can make them in any size you want. This is a 2 1/4 inch, and then we have a 2-inch width, a 1 3/4. I've done, I think, a couple of these. That's a 1 3/4, as is that one. Then we have a 1 1/4, a 1 1/4, and a 1 inch. So you can vary them in sizes. If you want just maybe 2 larger envelopes, mini envelopes, you can do them. I tend to stick with these sizes because I like to cluster them. And when I say cluster them, this is how I cluster them. I just layer them on top of each other, as you can see the back. And I stamp on some of them. I leave others blank, depending on the actual paper. If it's too plain, I like to use some stamps. If it's very patterned, I will use little cutouts. And I'll make maybe the flap plain and the bottom of the envelope patterned, so that I can stamp on some of them. But hey ho, here we go. So these are put to the side, and we shall show you what we can use. As I say, it literally is scraps of paper. If you're doing a botanical journal, you may want to use all floral in different shades. I also use printed book pages. This is a page from an old book that I used, one of Scrimping Mummy's pattern papers, and I printed out on the actual book page. This one too is the same, and I think this one is, I can't remember the name of it, but if you go and look at Scrimping Mummy's coffee shop, you'll find lots and lots of lovely digitals that you could use to print on any types of paper. So you could use that, and again, just scraps and scraps and scraps of paper. Now I have this left over from my last journal. I won't be using it. It's double printed, so I'm going to show you how you could make the small flap patterned and the underneath plain. Okay, and I've already cut some out for you to make the process a bit quicker. So here we have a 2 1/4 inch Then we have, it's a 2.5. No, hang on. Let's get this right so you're not confused. This is a 2.25. This is a 1 3/4. This is a 1 3/4. It shouldn't be the same size. I'm getting my measurements all wrong here. That's a 1 3/4. That's a 1.5. And this is a 1 inch. So what my method of doing it, instead of just folding it in half, I like to just bend it so that the ends meet and just literally pinch the corner so that when I come to fold, I can do it like so. I'll turn it round. We're trying to get them even so that we have a proper fold at the bottom. It makes it easier for you to fold. Then we're going to fold this over like so. You don't need a bone folder to crease these because the paper's so light. Now we need to determine how far up we want our envelope to go. Now I like to leave at least 1/4 of an inch between the flap down and the bottom up. Now you can, if you wish, fold up like so. You have to be about there. As you can see, I'm leaving about 1/4 of an inch. So if we fold that and then we fold it again to the top. Now that fold is going to be too long, so I'm going to cut just a sliver off. And if we fold that, and fold it up again just to the underneath line, fold over, and there we have our small envelope. So what we need to do now is take your glue. Oops, what happened there? There we go. Just put a blob here, a blob here. Fold it down. And I don't use too much glue, just a very thin line. It's not as if you're going to be opening these up. These are decorative mini envelopes. You're not going to use them as an envelope. And then once again, just a few little dollops along. Take it up. Now at this stage, if you want to use distress inks to make it more vintagey, this is the time you do it. So I have some Distress Oxide. This is my favourite. I love to use Ground Espresso. I like my inking to be quite dark, so, but not putting a lot on, just gently going along the sides and the top. And we shall pop. I don't glue it on all sides because sometimes I like to tuck the envelopes in. If I show you, if you see here, the larger envelope is tucked into the smaller one. So I will just add a splidgen of glue there and hold it just for a few seconds. And there's our first envelope. Now if you want to make another one with me, that would be lovely. This one is the smaller of the two. We're just pinching and we're taking it down, turning it and taking it down, fold it over. And if you don't want to use all of the paper to get your measurements, you can literally fold it up under, cut off the excess, and that gives you the exact amount you're going to need to give you a nice flap down and some space at the bottom. So once again, we're going to glue this down. So it's just a tiny piece of glue on either side, fold it down, and a few pieces, a few dots of glue going up to just underneath that flap. Bring your flap down, but before again we glue, we are going to just gently put a little bit of distress ink on. I distress everything. I love it. I just like the look of it. And again, we're going to just put a splodge of glue in the middle of your tab, fold it over, and there's your second envelope done. And I'll show you what I mean when I come to make a cluster. I sometimes like to tuck them in like so, or like so. So how do we make a fancy top and a plain bottom? Well, if I take a piece of this paper from Amanda's English Country Garden, it's very patterned on this side. That would be fine if you were doing a country file journal or a botanical journal. You want lots of lovely flowers. But if not, again, I want the top decorative. So we're going to fold over, and we're going to fold over. I'm going to bring this to stay in shot here. Bring this down, and we have a nice envelope flap. But if I don't want to have this up under here, which I think is, it doesn't define, I don't think, as an envelope really. So I'm going to take this down and I'm going to fold underneath like so. And instead of bringing this piece back round, I'm just going to cut it off. And I'm going to glue it at the back. And this gives me my nice decorative envelope flap, but a very plain bottom of the envelope. I'm going to do this. I haven't glued the flap down yet at all, so we'll take it back up. We'll open it up and glue it down. Another piece of glue there. Glue this down. Now at this stage, if you wanted to, you could put a little stamp on here. In fact, I'm going to do it. Just give me 1 second. I shall bring my mini stamps over, and we can choose. Let's have a look and see. Let's have a look. How about if we just do some splats? So if I get my ink out, and I'm not going to use I'm going to use a coloured ink, I think. I'm going to use Distress Speckled Ink. Just put a little piece on here. And here we have some little splodges on your stamp. There's not enough there for me, so I'm going to put some more on. There we go, that's better. I should put this away over here for now, and that's 3 envelopes done. I will be stamping on this as well, but because this is going to be the main envelope, most of it is going to be covered up. So I think we'll just stamp on the flap. And I'm looking for something a bit different here. So I'm going to go with maybe just I think we'll go with this actually, rather than, because you wouldn't have a stamp on here. You would just have some maybe wording. So I'm going to take my archival ink, just a little bit there. I'll take this the piece of paper and I shall pop it under there and go here and pop it under there and go there. That just gives it a wee focal point. We'll pop them back over there. Take this out of the way. And that's 3 envelopes done. Stamps, my goodness me. In the brain, she says, now this, I know there's not a lot left, but we could still make another envelope out of this one, so I'm going to do it. Again, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to crease it on the plain side and fold it over. And fold it over. And bring it down. And now, because I have a plain flap, I'm going to bring it up and make it a coloured bottom. So we're going to glue this down, and we're going to glue these down. And we're going to, oops, nearly forgot. Fold over, and you go on and on and on and on until you have as many, I would put that there and that there, as many as you wish to make your cluster. It can be any amount of envelopes that you like. If I just give you a basic idea, we're getting there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we'll go with another one. 8. And the top one. 9. You could glue all these down, and again that would give you a lovely tuck spot that I showed you earlier, which I know I'm not going to find now. Never mind. No, I'm not. I'm going to waste time on it. This would give you the opportunity to slip in a journal card or a tag or an invoice. Anyway, I'm so glad you could have joined me today. I hope I was a little bit informative of how I've made my little envelopes. You could sit and batch make these for hours and hours, different styles, different colours, colourways, different sizes. But I hope you've enjoyed your tutorial with me, and I thank you very much for spending time with me. I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you'll know in future when I'm going to upload another video. In the meantime, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you very much for joining me, and for now I will say cheery.